It's Brexit, it's climate change. Am I happy about how Brexit has been delivered? No. Are we seeing the sunny uplands that we were promised? No. Am I still optimistic that we can get there? Well, I hope so. But it's not easy for us, that's for sure.
Are you similarly cheered by these figures?
Well, it's good news for our customers and our colleagues. I mean, he's right; it still is far too high, but it's taken us all a bit by surprise. And I obviously it's a good thing it's coming down. Let's not forget it's still 8%, but the trajectory is there, and it has definitely peaked. I mean, we're seeing that in terms of the cost price increases that we're experiencing. We wanted to get ahead of the game. That's why yesterday we announced 500 products being dropped in price and our mix and match deal. So we're trying to kind of do everything we can to pass on any savings that we're experiencing onto our customers. That's why we were kind of so eager to take this action now ahead of the inflation figures.
People still look at the price of their weekly shop. I think we all do, actually, and we're still taken aback by how expensive things are, how madly expensive things are. Yeah. And you talk about 500 products, etc., but there are many other products, obviously, within your kind of repertoire that are expensive, and people will still say, and they still do say, that guys like you, people like you, are profiteering.
Well, we're not going to make any profit this year, but if we did, there's no shame in making a profit. It's really important to make a profit,
but
so we can invest in
something
the
slightly
business.
Different, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and I think it's right. The CMA are looking into petrol prices and the price of fuel, because some of the biggest supermarkets obviously have petrol forecourts. But I genuinely know from my own experience, we operate in one of the most competitive industries on the planet, and if you look at our margins, they've gone from 8.5% 10 years ago down to about 2% now. We're a private family business, but we've not taken a dividend for over a decade. And I think, we're doing everything we can to try and keep prices low. But you're right. I mean, I'm shocked at the price of products on the shelf, the price of food in restaurants. And it's obviously caused by the maelstrom of different factors that we've talked about. But I think what is really important is that we pass on anything as soon as we're starting to get the savings. So you say it's, it is a very significant amount, because it's about a third of our range now of the products that we sell are captured by either the 20% price reduction or the mix and match deal. Okay,
now on profits, just clarify for me then. It says here that the supermarket, this comes from the Times, the Iceland shared with bondholders last week that it was confident this year's underlying profit will be its strongest in 10 years and exceed the 176 million it made in 2021.
Yeah, well, the Times is a very good newspaper, but they say the word profit, that's actually cash. And actually, I was talking about statutory profit, where we won't make any profit. But after that cash, we then will invest in our capital expenditure programme. We're opening new shops, paying tax, creating jobs, all that good stuff. And that's why. And the reason cash is up is because our sales are good, and we've seen that. People are switching to frozen anyway. People are really mindful of their budgets. I mean, we're growing market share and customers, and that's because people are looking for value from more expensive supermarkets.
Now, before all the problems with inflation and food inflation, cost of living, etc., we were talking about vacancies, job vacancies. We were talking about food supply chains and the problems caused there. Are those still a problem for you?
I think it has been a factor in terms of driving the cost of some of the products that we sell. So it's been a factor in our supply chain for our suppliers. I mean, what's interesting, we've got 30,000 amazing colleagues, and we're not struggling to fill jobs. And we're doing innovative things. We're going into prisons now and recruiting soon-to-be-released inmates because everyone deserves a second chance, but actually we want people who are really grateful for a job as well. So we're actually looking at all different kind of areas of the employment market, and we're not struggling to fill vacancies as a business.
That sounds like a very nice thing to do, but if you are going into prisons, which is a new thing, does that mean that you can't actually find the people outside?
No, we can actually, but it's something that is kind of close to us, and we thought it was the right thing to do, as you say.
There's been quite a lot of coverage recently about shortages of things like tomatoes and eggs because of food security and food supply chains. What's the current situation?
Well, eggs are back on track, which is good. And generally, our supply chains as a business are pretty short, so relatively uninterrupted. Obviously, with the focus on frozen food, we're able to stock build as a business better. But it does just keep coming. I mean, we've got a heat wave now in Spain where there's a lot of produce grown. I think that might cause us some problems down the line. And Russia has just pulled out of a grain deal with Ukraine. And I don't think the impact directly on that will be big for us, but it doesn't help. So we're dealing with a lot and obviously trying to keep things as stable as possible.
When you look back at the Brexit decision, which you voted for Brexit, do you regret some of the impact that decision had on food supply chains?
I think our food supply chains have been fine. I mean, obviously they were interrupted in COVID, but that was more by a demand supply shock of people unexplainedly going out and buying loo roll. But yeah, I mean, generally, over half our supply base is UK based, and that's growing.
There were periods of shortages, and I think people have just got used to it now. Where there was a time before Brexit when there were no shortages, and then we got used to.
Yeah.
Especially with fruit and vegetables, there being shortages pretty much all the time.
Yeah, and look, it's Brexit, it's climate change. Am I happy about how Brexit has been delivered? No. Are we seeing the sunny uplands that we were promised? No. Am I still optimistic that we can get there? Well, I hope so. But it's not easy for us, that's for sure.